God is looking for the hungry of heart, the thirsty of soul. As I've spoken around the world about Jesus, I've discovered there exists a stark contrast between the fervent cries of God's people in some nations and the muted whispers of sleepy churches in other countries. As I've traveled, I've encountered vibrant churches filled with faith and a distinct passion to see God's glory. Yet, within the borders of many Western countries, I find a peculiar absence, a lack of fervor, a dearth of hunger for a profound move of God. In Psalms chapter 126, we find a truth that is etched in tears and overflowing with songs of joy. Those who sow with tears will reap with songs of joy. Those who go out weeping, carrying seed to sow, will return with songs of joy, carrying sheaves with them. This passage speaks of a wonderful connection between our tears and God's mercy. It paints a clear picture of the hunger that God longs to see in His children. It promises rain to the dry and thirsty hearts. When He sees deep hunger and unquenchable thirst in the hearts of His people, He will move with great power and extraordinary compassion. I've learned that passion is often expressed in tears. Tears that stream down the faces of humble men and women, watering a dry and desolate church. These tears are not signs of weakness, but reservoirs of strength. They are mirrors reflecting the compassionate heart of God. For in the tears of His people, God sees a deep longing for those lost and dying without Christ. He understands our yearning for the righteousness that's needed in the land, and He acts with great power. I recall a moment in Western Europe where a leader wept openly in prayer for his friends who didn't know Jesus. Some in the prayer meeting were embarrassed by the public display of emotion, fearing what people might think. On the other hand, I've witnessed believers in Egypt crying out to God with such fervency that their sobs ascended to heaven and opened the floodgates of rivers of living water. Their mourning turned to joy, their sorrow to laughter. They prayed and fasted. They lost weight and gained souls. Jesus said, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled." The hunger of the Egyptian, the tears of the brokenhearted released an outpouring of God's Spirit. Their prayers, which were filled with an unquenchable thirst for God's righteousness, moved mountains and birthed a spiritual revival. My homeland desperately needs revival. God is looking for the hungry of heart, the thirsty of soul. When our tears water the earth and our cries rise to heaven, God will pour out His Spirit upon us. Showers of blessings will descend upon the church. He will replace our sorrows with songs of joy. He will water the fields with our tears that produce a harvest like none we've ever known. For with these tears and in this hunger lies a promise of joy. The joy of souls saved, of lives transformed, and of people born into God's kingdom. Pray with a hungry heart, for in the secret chamber of prayer, God stores our tears and opens the windows of heaven. Hungry hearts will sing the songs of revival, and thirsty souls will shout for joy. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be filled.